President Clinton faces allegations of asking a former White House intern to lie about their relationship. A very difficult day for the White House.
I didn't ask anybody not to tell the truth. There is no improper relationship. The allegations I have read are not true.
Pope John Paul II arrives in Cuba. A very good day for Cuba.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Reporting tonight from Cuba.
Good evening from Havana, where one of the day's big stories has begun to unfold. One of them, the Pope is here, and the world is waiting to see whether he will shake up this island and the veteran communist leader who runs it, Fidel Castro. The other very big story of the day is in Washington, where the Clinton administration has already been badly shaken up by the possibility that President Clinton and one of his advisors, Vernon Jordan, obstructed justice by encouraging a young woman to commit perjury about an affair she is alleged to have had with the president. In both these stories tonight, there are repercussions far and wide. We're going to begin with the president's problem because it is the country's problem. We'll have a report from ABC's Jackie Judd, who had the story first. We'll talk to our legal analyst, Jeffrey Toobin. But first, we go to ABC's Sam Donaldson, where the bombshell fell at the White House. Sam.
Peter, it's been a confusing day here at the White House as President Clinton and his aides have sought to satisfy a stunned public that Mr. Clinton is totally innocent of these dangerous charges, but have somehow had difficulty finding the right words with which to do it.
In a previously scheduled interview with PBS NewsHour anchor Jim Lehrer, Mr. Clinton said he has no improper relationship with the young woman.
No improper relationship. Define what you mean by that.
Well, I think you know what it means. It means that that there is not a sexual relationship, an improper sexual relationship, or any other kind of improper relationship.
You had no sexual relationship with this young woman.
There is not a sexual relationship. That is accurate.
But as viewers noticed, every time the president spoke, he used the present tense. What about the past? Had there been a sexual relationship, proper or improper, with Monica Lewinsky in the past, when she was a White House intern? And what about the matter of whether the president asked the young woman to lie?
You had no conversations with this young woman, Monica Lewinsky, about her testimony, possible testimony, before in giving a deposition?
I did not urge anyone to say anything that was untrue. I did not urge anyone to say anything was untrue. That's my statement to you.
But the president carefully did not answer whether he had talked to the young woman, Monica Lewinsky, about her testimony, even if he did not ask her to lie. Aides said the president would clear up these ambiguities in a subsequent interview at the White House with National Public Radio interviewers Robert Siegel and Mara Liasson. Once again, the president said he had not encouraged anyone to lie. Then,
is there any truth to the allegation of an affair between you and the young woman?
No, that's not true either.
That seemed fairly straightforward. But then came this question.
Did you have any kind of relationship with her that could have been misconstrued?
Mara, I'm going to do my best to cooperate with the investigation. I want to know what they want to know from me. I think it's more important for me to tell the American people that there wasn't improper relations. I didn't ask anybody to lie, and I intend to cooperate.
Late today on the third try, with an interview with Roll Call newspaper, the president said flatly the relationship was not sexual. But that's the problem. He clearly had some sort of relationship with this young woman. ABC News has learned from sources that the woman, after she left the White House employment, was cleared in often, sometimes late at night, and without a White House pass, where she was visiting had to be listed. And we're told that often it was listed that she was visiting one of Mr. Clinton's secretaries, who by that time, late at night, almost certainly had gone home. So what she was doing here is still at odds. When the press secretary was asked whether the records would be released to the press, he replied they would not, but that investigators would be cooperated with absolutely. Late today, the independent counsel, Kenneth Starr, sent over a wide-ranging subpoena for all of the records that have to do with Ms. Lewinsky's visits or time at the White House, which means not only must the records be produced, but they cannot now be destroyed. Peter?
Sam, stay with us for just a moment. We first learned about this story from ABC's Jackie Judd. She's been covering the Whitewater investigation led by the independent counsel, Kenneth Starr. And this report of hers tonight begins with the two women at the center of this story.
When Monica Lewinsky left the White House to work at the Pentagon, she became friends with this woman, Linda Tripp. And it is Tripp who months later brought Lewinsky to the attention of the independent counsel, Ken Starr. ABC News has learned that last summer, Tripp began recording her phone conversations with Lewinsky, in which the young woman allegedly spoke about her affair with Mr. Clinton and his efforts to convince her to lie to cover it up. Why would Tripp secretly tape their talks? She had earlier worked at the White House, and one source says she was angry when Mr. Clinton's attorney, Robert Bennett, called her a liar for claiming the president had made a pass at another White House aide. Why would Tripp go to Starr? Last month, both Tripp and Lewinsky were subpoenaed by lawyers in the Paula Jones sexual harassment lawsuit, who were looking for more evidence of sexual misconduct by the president. Lewinsky allegedly told Tripp that she was going to lie about the affair, and Tripp had to as well. Because Tripp knew independent counsel Starr and didn't trust the Justice Department to protect her, Tripp went to Starr with tapes of more than 10 calls with Lewinsky. Significantly, she also claimed she had heard 3 messages from the president himself on Lewinsky's voicemail. It is unclear whether Starr has obtained those messages. ABC News also has learned that Starr's office and the FBI wired Tripp to record a conversation with Lewinsky and gave her equipment to tape more calls so that investigators could hear for themselves what had been in the earlier tapes. Lewinsky allegedly claims in the tapes that Mr. Clinton told her to deny their relationship to Jones's lawyers and to see Clinton confidant Vernon Jordan. According to a source who heard the tapes, Lewinsky says Jordan instructed her to lie under oath because lawyers never prosecute perjury in a civil case, and he promised her help in finding a new job. Jordan refused comment today. Sources tell ABC News that Jordan also helped Lewinsky find a lawyer who filed a sworn affidavit in which he did deny a sexual relationship with the president. Another lawyer, newly hired by Lewinsky's family, would not rule out that her story could change.
I am saying it would be irresponsible for me to make an absolute statement, and I have made no absolute statement until I complete this whole process.
Lewinsky is scheduled to be deposed on Friday by Paula Jones's attorney. Sources say as of now, Peter, she plans on taking the 5th.
Jackie, one question on this subject of depositions. When the president was deposed last Saturday in the Paula Jones case, do we know whether he was asked about the Lewinsky affair, and if he was, what he said?
Yes, we've been led to believe that he was asked about this and that he denied having any sexual relationship with her.
Okay, thanks very much. Jackie Judd in Washington. As I said, we first brought this story to light. We're joined now by our legal analyst, Jeffrey Toobin, who is in New York this evening. Jeffrey, on what basis does Kenneth Starr get involved in this in the first place?
Well, it does seem odd because Kenneth Starr is the Whitewater special prosecutor. In this case, whatever it is a long way from Whitewater. But his jurisdiction over the 4 years he's been in office has been expanded several times to include the travel office allegations, the FBI files issue, Vince Foster's suicide, and what they all have in common is at least an allegation of obstruction of justice. That's the claim here, obstruction of justice, so it seemed like it was within Kenneth Starr's bailiwick.
And when he asked the Attorney General for permission to enlarge his investigation, it came very quickly, right?
It came very quickly, and the judges who supervise independent counsels ratified Judge Reno's, Attorney General Reno's request that Starr be given the new authority.
Okay, Jeffrey Toobin, thank you very much. These interviews the president has been giving today to public broadcasting and National Public Radio were all sort of pre-fixed because they were in preparation for the president's State of the Union. One of the people you've already heard of this evening who questioned the president was National Public Radio's Mara Liasson, and she is with us in Washington this evening. Mara, I think you're the last reporter to see the president today. Anything to add, especially on his mood? He seemed quite defensive.
One of the worst days of President Clinton's political career, but he's a cool character, and he told us that he was furious, but other than that big jaw muscle you could see working as he talked, he didn't really show it. I think he clearly made a decision to say as little as possible, and it was hard to dislodge him.
And we listened to your interview. Did you say anything after you moved away from the microphone that's for publication?
No, absolutely not. I mean, we pressed him on every conceivable question. You heard that. We asked if he had had any kind of relationship with the woman, if he had had any kind of conversations with her about her testimony. And he was more unequivocal in his denials with us than he had been with Jim Lehrer of Public Broadcasting, but he was less forthcoming. He said flatly, I've said all I'm going to say about this, and I don't think I can say any more.
Mara, thanks very much. Let's go back to Sam Donaldson at the White House. Sam, so we get to the end of the day with the president having made these denials in various forums today. One would hope, from the White House's point of view, they're a bit more relieved, are they?
Well, Peter, the danger here is not that the public will believe that the president had a sexual liaison with someone other than his wife. He has braved and he has overcome those kind of accusations before. The danger is that more evidence would pile up, that the president had suggested that this young woman lie under oath, or that he had Vernon Jordan or someone else do that. And if that were the case, that material would surely be taken to Capitol Hill and a serious impeachment investigation would get underway.
Okay, Sam, thanks very much. And everybody else in Washington and New York tonight, I said one would hope from the White House's point of view. I meant one would think from the White House's point of view that with all these denials, he might be a bit more relaxed. We'll continue to cover this story later on Primetime Live and on Nightline. And in a moment, we'll be back in Havana with the story that brought us here. Pope John Paul has arrived. And he didn't waste any time today telling the United States and Cuba, both of them, they should change.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Calcium-Rich Tums.
Why does Tums control acid faster than Pepcid AC? Because they work on your stomach acid in totally different ways. Tums Calcium naturally, rapidly neutralizes acid so it works fast. Pepcid AC's famotidine has to travel through your bloodstream, so it takes at least 40 minutes to block natural acid production. So why does Tums work on acid faster and cost less, and Pepcid AC works slower and costs more?
Good question.
Tums. Bebop buttery new Brummelin' Brown. The creamy taste of butter blended with the goodness of yogurt. Taste a bunch like butter on broccoli with less fat. Brummelin' Brown, bliss on bagels, bold and baked potatoes. New Brummelin' Brown, taste buttery on beans. And baked in butternut squash, Bravo on banana bread, a bit on buckwheats is boss.
New Brummelin' Brown, the creamy taste of butter blended with the wholesome goodness of yogurt.
Must be new Brummelin' Brown, yeah.
The Pope is here, the Pope is here. Twice, actually, to reflect Cuban enthusiasm today. No Pope in history has ever had the chance to extend his reach throughout the world like this one. But it has taken John Paul II until the twilight years of his papacy to finally come to Cuba. The Pope and Castro have met before, but for him to come here, where the Catholic Church has been hampered and restricted for so many years, where this past Christmas celebration was the first one since 1959, where he will surely be compelled to talk about the American blockade of Cuba, where you can feel Cuba straining to change. This is a big moment here. ABC's Bill Blakemore was on the Pope's plane from Rome.
John Paul is too frail now to kneel down and kiss the ground, so 4 children held up some Cuban soil for him to kiss. But things quickly turned political as Fidel Castro told the Pope that economic genocide is now being inflicted upon Cuba.
Hoy, Santidad.
A complaint about the American embargo. John Paul's response sounded in part like a direct call for democracy in Cuba, telling Cubans to control their own history. He said he wanted Cuba to offer everyone a climate of freedom and social justice. Earlier, on his plane flying in, John Paul strongly suggested that he will speak out forcefully during his visit for human rights. He said, "You cannot expect otherwise from me." Asked if he had a message for the U.S. about its embargo of Cuba, he said,
"To change."
Thousands of Cubans turned out to cheer John Paul into Havana. When they hear he's speaking against the embargo, they'll be delighted. He and Castro meet privately tomorrow. When reporters asked him what he wants to hear from the Cuban president, John Paul said simply, "The truth." Peter?
Thanks very much, Bill Blakemore, who came from Rome. Somebody looking at this saw Fidel Castro in a suit, said, "In Cuba, that's the first time." Then, the truth is not always easy to get at here. And given the system here for the last 40 years, people are often reluctant to speak their minds. But not so the Cuban community in exile. Out in those crowds today were several hundred Cuban Americans who came back to their homeland at this important moment, and they have had quite a day. Here's ABC's Aaron Brown.
They were there, lost among the thousands of Cubans waiting in the sun for the Pope to pass by.
I'm here because I want to see the Pope. But actually, I want to be here because this is where I was born.
From the moment they arrived last night, this has been an intensely emotional experience. In some cases, they were met by family members they hadn't seen in 40 years, and for moments like that, there are no words. Some went straight back to their old homes. Conchita Diaz did, and was welcomed at hers. Her husband, Sammy, was shut out of his. There are mixed emotions on both sides. Patricia Rotea Galindo came to Havana to look for a life she left behind when she was 10, and she found it in a graveyard.
What a beautiful place.
The decision to come here was not an easy one because of the feeling by many Cuban Americans that just by being here, they were helping Castro stay in power. But for those who stood waiting for the Pope today, it was okay, at least for this moment, to set politics aside. Peter.
Aaron Brown, thanks very much. We'll be back in Havana later in the broadcast. And in just a moment, Diane Sawyer is going to have the day's other news.
Why are so many small businesses so busy on Friday? They're using Fridays Free from Sprint in so many ways. They're getting all their domestic long distance on Fridays absolutely free. Businesses that spend $50 a month or more with Sprint get that, plus calling card calls, free on Fridays. What's more, even their toll-free service is free. So do more and save more till the year 2000 with Fridays Free. Call Sprint at 1-800-598-5000. We help your business do more business.
I guess I've been bringing the office home with me, because lately I've had some pain at night, and I just couldn't get to sleep. And then I'd worry about taking something. I mean, I'm at work pretty early, you know. How would I feel? But then I tried Tylenol PM. That's something I can trust. Well, the Tylenol PM stopped my pain. It helped me sleep. Next morning, I'm up and out and ready for my day. Nothing like a good night's sleep.
Rest easy. It's Tylenol PM.
What do I want? I want to know I'm headed in the right direction. I want to keep my options open. I do want to take care of my family. I want to give something back. I want to learn, find what's right for me, be ready for anything, make the right choices. I want to find the people who can get me there.
American Express Financial Advisors can help you decide what you want to do and how to get there.
I want to say I made a difference. I want to do more.
Before we built one part for the new Dodge Intrepid, we built the whole car digitally. That way, we were able to test more than 2,000 engines, numerous suspensions, a multitude of seats, and a vast number of headlamps. The result is impressive. You might say, it's 1 in a million. The new Dodge Intrepid. We're changing everything. Again.
At home here in New York today, there was a major crackdown on organized crime. And a familiar name is involved, John Gotti. This time, it's his son, John Jr. Gotti Jr. was among 40 alleged members of the Gambino crime family indicted by the government. ABC's John Miller has more.
Lawmen say that John Gotti Jr. followed in his father's footsteps by becoming a mob boss. Now they want to see him follow his father's footsteps to jail.
With both of them behind bars, I think it really loosens the Gotti family's grip on the Gambino enterprise.
The case began when investigators planted bugs in the home of Gregory De Palma, an aging soldier in the Gambino family. His secretly recorded conversations led investigators to John Gotti Jr., to loan sharking, murder, and the takeover of a ritzy topless club. And there were new scams, a sophisticated phone card fraud involving former pitcher Denny McLain, and a deal where the mob used minority workers to demand no-show jobs from construction contractors. The mob and the workers would split the take. Sort of the mob's version of affirmative action.
I don't believe that this is any indication that they are any less prejudiced than they might have been against minorities. What it does underscore, does evince, is that they're weakened.
In his lifestyle, John Gotti Jr. was very different from his father, always trying to keep the low profile, avoid the limelight. But if he's convicted in this case, he faces decades in jail, at which point his lifestyle and his father's will be almost identical. John Miller, ABC News, New York.
And in Cleveland today, 43 law enforcement officers were arrested on charges that they provided security for drug deals. The arrests are part of a nationwide FBI crackdown on police corruption. And we'll be back with more news in a moment.
Nobody does it like you.
In test after test, new wind tunnel by Hoover picks up more dirt than any other clean air upright.
Nobody
Wind tunnel by Hoover.
does it like you.
Dusty's a mighty dog. That's why she gets new Prime Cuts and Pâté with the perfect balance of nutrients for her special energy needs. It's 2 great tastes in 1 can. New Prime Cuts and Pâté, only from Mighty Dog.
Teddy Gibbs can't let a sore throat stop him, even when it feels this raw. He toughs it out through the hacking cough, the aches, the fever. But when the job is done, he's desperate for relief. Fast, powerful Theraflu relief. With the first sip of that soothing lemony hot liquid, he feels comfort instantly. Soon, his throat feels calmed, his cough quieted, his chills warmed. Maximum strength Theraflu, instant comfort, powerful relief.
You're so lucky. Not one gray hair.
When a woman can run her fingers through your hair and can't tell you blend away your gray, that's a natural-looking result. And that's just what you get with the hair color called Just for Men. Simply shampoo in, then rinse. In only 5 minutes, this unique formula blends away gray, actually matches your gray to your real color. So nobody knows, even close up.
I just love your hair.
Just for Men. It looks so natural, even she can't tell.
Kids are cool. Too cool for a family car. So check out a new Chevy Lumina LTZ. It could be the best disguised family car on the road. You'd never guess by looking at it, but no 6-passenger car in its class offers more standard safety features for the money. So don't worry. Get a Lumina LTZ. If that doesn't make your kids think you're cool, nothing will.
In Iraq, the ball is back in the UN's court. Chief Weapons Inspector Richard Butler left Baghdad today after getting nowhere in 2 days of talks. The Iraqis demanded a freeze on all inspections. Butler told them to forget it. Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat arrived in Washington today for talks about the Middle East peace process. He met with Secretary of State Madeleine Albright this afternoon, and tomorrow he'll be at the White House for a meeting with President Clinton. And there's an indication today that Asia's economic trouble is affecting things here at home. The Federal Reserve said that while the U.S. economy is still growing at a moderate pace, manufacturers report a decrease in Asian demand for U.S. goods. And that news may have darkened the mood on Wall Street. Today, the Dow Jones Industrials lost 78 points to close at 7794. On the NASDAQ market, stocks lost 2 points, closing at 1587. And Peter will be back from Havana in a moment.
Lighten up your coffee with Carnation Coffee Mate Light and Fat-Free. And enjoy all the rich, creamy taste without all the fat. Your cup, your Coffee Mate.
Looking for more space? Try the next Century. It's got the most interior space of any vehicle in its class. Because extra space is one luxurious touch that's appreciated by families everywhere. The new Century by Buick is also a Consumer's Digest Best Buy, making Century one of the best values on earth.
I'm going to take the stairs up to my office every day.
I'm giving up desserts during the week.
50 sit-ups every morning before my shower.
This new year, why not make a resolution that's easy to keep? Kellogg's Complete Bran Flakes. High fiber, low in fat, and a crispy taste that's easy to stick with.
Me? I'm gonna walk a mile every day.
Kellogg's Complete Bran Flakes. An easy start to a healthier new year.
Has frequent heartburn been a persistent problem for you? Have you treated it but still suffer on 2 or more days a week? Do you keep getting heartburn even though you've changed your diet? Your heartburn may be due to a potentially serious condition called acid reflux disease. Ask your doctor if Prilosec is right for you. Just one Prilosec capsule daily can provide 24-hour acid control. Prilosec is not for everybody. Only your doctor can decide if it's right for you. The most common side effects are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. To learn more, call this number, ask your doctor or pharmacist, or see our Life magazine ad. Want 24-hour acid control with just one daily capsule? Ask your doctor about Prilosec.
Tonight, the high society divorce.
He pointed the pistol at you?
The wife who wants millions.
Were you afraid?
And the shocking secrets of one of the world's richest families revealed. Brian Ross reports. Don't miss prime time tonight.
Finally, from here in Havana this evening, 2 glimpses behind the scenes. The first has to do with the electricity associated with Fidel Castro. Last night, when we were all doing other things, just a hint from the hotel manager that Fidel might show up to inspect the press facilities sent the world's press corps into a frenzy of anticipation.
Where did he go?
Hundreds of us simply hung out. And nothing happened. Fidel never came. Finally, through whatever process of deduction, we went back to other work. There was another Fidel alert this evening. U.S. press alert again. It's always been harder for outsiders to get a precise fix on what Fidel Castro is going to do or really thinks about his relationship with the United States. And so once again, we've talked to a man who knows Fidel Castro very well and knows the United States as well as anyone here. Ricardo Alarcón is the president of the Cuban National Assembly. What is he thinking these days about American pressure for greater democracy in Cuba?
I do not think that other societies are perfect. I may not like everything in the U.S. society, but I will be crazy if I were to pretend that we should demand the U.S. to change this or that in order to be neighbors. We are just neighbors. God decided that long ago. Let's recognize that fact and accept that your neighbor doesn't need to be exactly as you are.
I have heard Cuban analysts say before that the best thing President Clinton could do for Cubans is to lift the embargo because ultimately it would undermine the governmental authority of President Castro. What do you think of that?
Why don't they try? Lift the embargo unconditionally, right now, completely. That's what should be done. But if they are not sure about that theory, let's lift the embargo for a year and try.
Just try it. That's our report on World News Tonight. We will continue to cover the Pope here in Cuba, and we will definitely stay on top of these allegations against the president. I'm Peter Jennings. I hope you have a nice evening. Good night from Central Park, Havana's Central Park.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.
Spin City tonight.
Mike, you should see someone! I already did!
Shattering news that may change Mike forever.
I'm just glad that you were able to respect me enough to share it with me. No problem, buddy.
And when Dharma needs new wheels, she scores a beaut. ABC tonight. It's this funny.